Good afternoon. My name is Dan Morgan, and I'm the Chief Data Officer at the U.S. Department of Transportation, and it's my honor to join you for today's Technology Transformation Services AI Summit. I want to thank Steve and the Technology Transformation Services team for inviting me to share some thoughts about AI in government and AI specifically at the U.S. Department of Transportation. I think we are at an interesting point in the transportation world. I would dare say it's actually one of the more exciting times to be in the world of transportation. The digital revolution is bringing new and exciting capabilities to the transportation sector, and those capabilities are bringing an ever-increasing amount of data to be used in decision making. As we think about how we're taking steps as an agency to harness the power of that data and understand how we can use it to advance our national transportation goals, we're also thinking about how the digital revolution is impacting the sector that we regulate and how we understand how the sector is using artificial intelligence in their technologies today. We take an interdisciplinary approach to understanding how we want to approach the AI question as an agency. So we've formed a machine learning and artificial intelligence steering committee that consists of views from our policy organization, our research organization, our IT organization, and from me as part of our data organization. And together, we're trying to drive a unified path forward for the agency to be able to harness this technology. And I think, we find ourselves still early in our AI journey. And I've been trying to think about sort of how we sort of get off of top dead center and get moving in the deployment of what is potentially one of the more transformational technologies of our time, right? So I think about sort of two scales when I start to work through what the agency's considerations are. One is sort of the product scale. Is AI part of a human machine interface that you can use to voice enable some of your existing applications, let's say? Are AI techniques part of what you can do to enhance the results of a search and make your application more useful to an end user? You should probably deploy those things right away, right? Because being able to use that kind of AI in that kind of sort of slice of a larger product is just a modern way to develop applications. And guidance and technology considerations for those kinds of approaches kind of already exists, and that means you can get started. Another sort of next level of impact for us is as part of a larger process. So maybe we don't have an AI product running inside the agency, but we want to use AI techniques to process a bunch of data, to maybe label a bunch of data or something like that. And so what we need to do is offline in an overall workflow, put a little bit of AI on it, to use a little bit of a metaphor, so that we could go ahead and move it forward. And so that's, I think, another sort of self-contained apparatus that allows us to learn and then be able to scale out our AI applications. And then ultimately, what we want to be able to do is get to a place where we're delivering AI products. And I don't think we're there yet as an agency. I don't think anybody really is fully in an AI product space. But this is where the questions start to get really sticky and harder to answer. They're the same questions we would ask about any technology, but they're harder to answer because of the technologies that we're using. We can de-risk another way in terms of user impact. And you can think about this from the algorithmic assessment, impact assessment point of view, right? So some user impacts is just delivering information that's relevant and potentially timely to that end user. You can introduce some kinds of questions about what you're surfacing to folks, and you should monitor those kinds of things, but making sure that the AI performs as intended is a thing you would do anyway if it was just any other kind of search engine. As we start to get into the decision space, and as a regulator, this is extremely important to me. As we get into the decision space, we want to make sure that we can give a reason for why we made a decision. The computer said so is not a reason, and we need to be able to explain the impact of how AI and computers may have influenced the agency's decision to permit or deny an application or to avail somebody of their benefits. I think the important message that I have today is you can get started. You don't have to be bogged down in these weighty questions that we're going to go through later today about ethics and responsibility and bias. They matter, but some of them are well solved depending on the use case and the size that you're going through. AI is a part of what you do already as a technologist today. What we need to be able to do is scale that out and learn in chunks along the way so that we can be successful. So I wish you a very successful summit. I know that you're going to hear from some very smart people, and hopefully you'll be able to take next steps back at your own agencies to move your AI programs forward. Thanks.